On it, God. I am gas. 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 The truth is coming, and our name is God. Time to understand that's the name of God. Syrians overcame us, we overcame them. At the last, we marched into Iraq. We finally got to the last lap. We're athletes and soldiers, always ready for war. We're generals, demand respect everywhere we go. One of the first to get our land and still fought for y'all ocean round. The Indians ain't us, so keep the talk about your mouth. We dwell like lions, ready to tear off heads and arms. Our least can beat 100. Our greatest over 1,000 in the front line, in the march to take Jericho. Y'all on side, Joshua for it, 12 tell you so. Ready for war with lion faces, skilled with many weapons, quick as gazelles. If you not ready, keep stepping. Cold guard, time to rise up, enlarge our tribe. The ocean around these soldiers, and we need to provide. God, I am gas. On it, God. I am gas. On it, God. I am gas.
Shalom lacham ya'o sha'al za ya'oda bandor haret ba'mazrach ba'aretz marachak. Yash ma'chaza chadasha mara'ash mor'e gal ha'aretz ya'o wagafa anache aina. Tashamayo na waha'azeno maho amar. Takshebolo. Listen carefully to what he says.
He simply took a screenshot of my video entitled Undeniable Proof That Our Land is in North America, Middle East Destroyed, with 2 scriptures, alright? However, he obviously did not watch the video because he simply focused on the thumbnail of the video and tried to simply debunk the thumbnail instead of actually debunking my video. And in fact, his entire video is simply based off of my thumbnail and not on any of the information in the actual video. You didn't look at that, you just looked at the thumbnail. When I made the thumbnail really doesn't have anything to do with the video. When I made the thumbnail really doesn't have anything to do with the video. When I made the thumbnail really doesn't have anything to do with the video.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Alright, let me get this straight. You make a video, you make a thumbnail, you put the thumbnail in the video, but the thumbnail supposedly doesn't have anything to do with the video. It's not part of the information of your video, but you put it in your video. That makes no sense. This thumbnail is part of the misinformation that runs throughout your whole video. You want me to focus on other misinformation in your video and not this misinformation. That makes no sense either. You can't be complaining about childish remarks when you are making childish claims and you are making childish attempts to defend your childish claims, like this one here, where you say a thumbnail that you made and that you put in your video has nothing to do with your video. That's a childish defense of your video. And Abram journeyed, continuing to go and journeying towards the south.
Actually, halak, or haluch, as he calls it, just simply means to walk or to go. It does not mean to continue.
Third word is haloch, from the root ha, la, and cha. This is an infinitive absolute, which means going on or continuing to go, or continuing to go, or continuing to go, or continuing to go.
He literally just made that up. He knows it doesn't mean to continue. He literally just made it up. Also, the word nasa appears twice in there, and it just means to journey. The scripture would have originally said, Abram journeyed, walking and journeying toward the south. There was no continuing in that scripture.
Does not mean continue? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You don't know this because you don't know the language and you are completely ignorant of the grammar. The infinitive absolute for this very verb absolutely does mean continue, and I'll prove it. If you turn to Genesis 8:3, the exact same word is used. Wayeshabu hamem ma'ral ha'aratz haloch. Washob وَيَخَسَّارُ hamem makatza chameshem wa ma'ath yom. And the waters return from upon the earth continually and returning, and the waters were abated at the end of 150 days. It's the same word, the same infinitive absolute that appears in Genesis 12:9. It appears here in Genesis 8:3. Haloch. It does mean continue. And just so we are clear, here is a page from one of the standard grammars of biblical Hebrew that discusses this same word. I give the authors, the name of the book, the date, and the page number where this information can be found. And here's what it says. The idea of long continuance is very frequently expressed by the verb halach, along with its infinitive absolute, or even by the latter alone. The infinitive absolute of halach is haloch. It's spelled differently, so it's going to be pronounced differently. Okay, it means to go on, to continue, and it performs the function of an adverb. Okay, and the authors give examples. Genesis 8:3, which I just read, and Genesis 12:9. So I repeat, Genesis 12:9 kills your map. Abram was moving continually southward when he left Haran to get to the Holy Land. Now, I know you don't know what an infinitive absolute is, so I will help you. It is simply a non-finite verb that intensifies the action of the main verb, and in this case, it expresses a continuance of the action of the main verb. Now, if you don't understand how verbs work in our language, you are not qualified to make a map of our land.
I'm going to show you that the land of Haran is indeed east of Canaan, and scripture does prove it. Within 3 different chapters, I'm going to show you. So he doesn't like to use the King James, okay? So I'm not going to use the King James. I'm going to use a Hebrew version called TS 2009, all right?
Yes, it's true. I'm not a fan of the Queen James version of the Bible. So you think that by switching to another English translation of the Bible will somehow help your case. It doesn't. In fact, you switching to the TS 2009 shows that you are willing to lie in order to save your fantasy map. I say this because the TS 2009 version says what I am saying about Genesis 12:9 and the infinitive absolute verb haloch. How does the TS 2009 translate Genesis 12:9? Let's see. And Abram set out, continuing toward the south. You switch to a new Bible, and that Bible kills your map. When Abram left Haran, he was journeying southward, not eastward.
Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take a wife for yourself from there, from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. Okay, so now Isaac is telling Jacob to go to Padan Aram, but then Rebekah just tell him to go to Haran. Apparently, Haran is just a part of Padan Aram. It's just a part of it. Haran is a specific place in Padan Aram. In the next chapter, Genesis 29, and Yaakov moved and came to the land of the people of the east. So Jacob went to Padan Aram. He went to Padan Aram just like they told him to go. And Padan Aram is the people of the east.
Okay, here you are caught again trying to mislead people. The Euphrates River historically was considered the boundary between east and west. Everyone living on the eastern side of the river were people of the east, no matter how north or south they were. And everyone living to the west of the river were people of the west. Genesis 29:1 does not say what you want it to say, which is that Haran was east of our land. It simply says that the people east of the river in Haran were people of the east.
Yes, Egypt is south of Canaan. I never said it wasn't. But one thing that I do not agree with is he said going up means going north. Whenever somebody says go up into a place or go down into a place in scripture, that's talking about elevation. It's not talking about north, east, south, and west.
Here we have more absurdity. What I said in the context of Genesis 13:1 is that to go up out of Mitzrayim means to go north. Even on his map, it has to mean that, because he just agreed that Mitzrayim should be south of our land. But now he's saying no, it does not mean go north. According to him, Genesis 13:1 is telling us that in order for Abram to leave Mitzrayim, he needed to ascend a hill or a mountain. This is retarded. Please tell us what hill or mountain he needed to climb in order to get out of Mitzrayim.
And the Egyptians went up into the land of Babylon and made battle by the river Euphrates. And 2 videos that I made, the videos on the screen now, those 2 videos, I've stated that the Euphrates River flows all the way through the land of Babylon, all the way north, even into the Arctic Ocean, because you got to understand, the Mississippi River connects with the St. Lawrence River. The St. Lawrence River goes all the way up into the Arctic Ocean. It goes directly north. The whole river is a north and south flowing river. It goes up and down, all right?
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
It just gets more and more childish. Okay, so ancient Babylon is not in Massachusetts where I grew up. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, but I grew up in Boston. So the map he put in the video that I murdered shows ancient Babylon in Massachusetts. But he's saying that map was wrong and ancient Babylon was really located in eastern Canada. Mind you, he is trying to explain away Yeram Ya'o, aka Jeremiah 46:10, which says that the Euphrates River has a northern boundary located to the north of the Holy Land. So he realizes that the Mississippi does not have a northern boundary to the north of his fantasy Canaan in the west coast of America, and he has decided to make the St. Lawrence River, which flows north from Lake Ontario. He wants that river to be the Euphrates as well as the Mississippi, so that his fantasy Euphrates River has a northern boundary to the north of his fantasy Canaan. I'm going to let him finish his thought before I say anything, because this is it's just sad.
The map that appears in this video is an old map, and there's one error in the map. I have Babylon listed near Massachusetts and New York, that general region, but Babylon should be a little bit more north in Canada. Although Babylon did stretch south into Massachusetts and New York and that area of New England, the main center of Babylon was in Quebec of Canada. And I've shown you that in my video.
Okay, he says the main center of Babylon was located in Quebec, Canada, on the St. Lawrence River, which is part of his fantasy Euphrates River. What high school did you go to where they taught you that the Mississippi River and the St. Lawrence River are the same river?
Look, this was a tribe of cattle. Reuben was a tribe of cattle. Cows have to eat grass. Grass is a plant, all right? But that area in the Middle East that stretches from where Reuben would have been all the way to the river Euphrates from west to east, from Gilead to the river Euphrates, is pure desert. I like to call it the dry triangle. That's what I like to call it. It's a 93 million square mile piece of land where not one single plant grows. No way possible cattle could have inhabited that area in biblical times.
So you said all that and you just negated your whole argument about the tribe of Ra'oban, aka Reuben. First, you are misrepresenting the facts. This tribe did not pasture their cattle from Gilead all the way to the banks of the Euphrates. What the scripture says in 1 Chronicles 5:9 is that they inhabited the pasture land until the point where it ceased at the entrance of the wilderness. And that wilderness stretched eastward to the banks of the Euphrates. It does not say their cattle was pasturing in that wilderness at all. You just lied. Second, you just said there is no pasture land in the Gilead of the Middle East at all. Then why are there cattle there today? You need to go back and redo high school. And when you finish, you need to travel the world and actually have a look around before you make these childish assumptions. Again, your map is a fantasy. It does not fit the detailed criteria of scripture, of history, and of archaeology at all. It is a Looney Tunes map. You're smarter than this.